Hey, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Hope this finds you well and happy today, and whatever time of day it is or wherever you are in the world. What do you do when difficulties are piled up in front of you? First place is, are you a Christian? And if you are, how you handle those difficulties is how you show people what kind of Christian you are. If you are a real follower of God, a real Christian, difficulties, you hand them to the Lord. He's much bigger than you are. I have a picture, and I tell it every now and then, and I'll tell it again right now. I have a picture of this big, heavy yoke, and it's on God's shoulders. And over to the other side is this skinny little bitty yoke. And I'm only 5'6" and a half, 5'7", and that yoke's just a hair taller than me. And God's walking along, and He's saying, "Get under my yoke, son. Get under my yoke." And I say, but I can't. I can't carry none of the weight." And He said, "You don't have to. I'll carry it all." All the way through the rest of your life, if you'll let me. I'll carry all the weight. You just come along, and I'll get you to the other side, and I'll carry the weight. How about that? So, if you've got a mountain in front of you of obstacles, just say these are obstacles you made yourself. You made these obstacles. You bought a truck you really couldn't quite afford, and then you bought a car, and we got trouble. Then you bought a car, and I had a glitch, and that glitch, I hope, hasn't ended us where we're supposed to be. I got a mouse in the house. Have you ever had a mouse in the house? I got this mouse in the house, and I laid a book on the mouse, and it gave us that glitch. But here we are again. And have you ever had a mountain pile up, and you piled the mountain yourself? Sometimes we shovel the dirt out in front of us, and then we can't get over it. Let me tell you this. If you're a Christian and you have a mountain, and the mountains are outweighing you, you probably aren't tithing. What is tithing? Brother Peter, what's tithing? Tithing is giving 10 pennies out of every dollar. 10 pennies out of every dollar. I can tell you how you can tithe. You say, "Well, I can't tithe." Well, do you drink Coca-Colas? Quit drinking Coca-Colas. Coca-Colas will take the tithe off of a $10 bill every time you drink one. They'll take the tithe off a $10 bill every time you drink one. So all you got to do is exchange that dollar that you was going to pay for that Coke or whatever it is, bring it home that night, put it in a safe place in an envelope, and write "God" on the envelope. And you can't take it out if it belongs to God. It belongs to God anyway, in case you don't know it, and that's why you're not being blessed if you're not being blessed. So get that dime in there off of every dollar. You say, "But Brother Peter, if I make $1,000, that's $100. Yes, it is. If you make that, if God allows you to make $1,000, you ought to feel glad to give Him 100. The 100 belongs to Him in the first place, because He said tithes and offerings. The least a person should do would be 15%. That should be the least. I can show you where the children of Israel were required to start with 27%. 27%. They had to bring the animals to be sacrificed for the priest. And not only that, then they had to once a month bring in the bread and stuff and a special animal. And not only that, they had to do this and that. When you add it all up, it came to a heap. And so we're required to give the 10% if we're saved. So here we got this mountain in front of us that we've built, and we need to get out from under it. We're going to have to draw some cords up. If we've got a car and a truck and we're paying on both of them, and they're a mountain that's got us where we can't pay our rent or we can't pay our tithes, we can't do anything. First thing you do is start paying your tithes. Second thing you do is get rid of that one of them or two of them vehicles and bump down to something you can have. By the way, if you got two vehicles, a boat and a camper, you might sell the boat and the camper first, and then sell one of the vehicles and get into a smaller vehicle. And by the way, within 3 years, of just simple planning, tightening up a little bit. Within 3 years, I don't care how much mountain of debt you have, within 3 years you can get out of it. And you can call your debtors and say, will you work with me? If I charge nothing else on this card, I'm right now at $25,000. Will you take a $15,000 payoff? And if they will, you dig up $15,000 when you go to the bank. Or somewhere, you dig up $15,000 where your interest won't be so high. You cut that high interest off, that monthly thing that's more than you can catch up with, and pay that note off and cut that card up and get yourself started out of debt. You can get out of debt. I had a son-in-law that was head over heels in debt. He couldn't get out in 20 years. If I'm not mistaken, it took him 2 years of every night after work he'd go down to Domino's Pizza and deliver pizzas for 2 years. Paid off every bit of his credit card debt in 2 years. Delivering Domino's Pizza. You can go deliver pizza. You can do something. But God will open the door and make a way for you if you plan on doing that. If you plan on start tithing, God will open the windows of heaven and He'll pour it out. And you will not believe how quick you will get out of debt. And then you got to stay out of debt. You can't buy everything you see and everything you want. Nature's way of showing you that you can't just run haphazard through this world is debt. That's nature's way of showing you you can't do it. Wow. It does take some strenuous effort to climb a mountain. And it's going to take a little bit of strenuous effort for you to climb that mountain of debt and get over it and quit doing it. Oh, does it make me feel bad? Oh, do I feel bad? I'm a debt-free man. I go over here to the store and I get gas and more. I pay for it. I go inside and some guy comes in, he gets a bag of potato chips, a can of drink. This is breakfast time now. A can of drink, a roll of them donuts and stuff. And the woman adds it all up and she says $11 and something. And he swipes the card. $11? He could have gone to the best restaurant in town and ate a good breakfast. And he's a man that has stopped thinking. He's stopped thinking. He's not calculating anymore. He said, well, I'm so far now I can't get out, so I just go ahead and do it. So he just runs in there and does it. At dinner time, he stops at another little store. At the end of the day, he comes home, he's got $31 more worth of debt that he never will be able to pay if he continues that process. The process will run over you. You've got to stop the process. It's like a runaway train. You've got to stop it. And look, God will help you. I'm talking Bible. I'm talking Bible. The Lord said, owe man nothing but love. That doesn't mean you can't have debt, but that means that you've got to have your debt current. If I owe a man $1,000 and he said pay me $25 a week every week, and I pay him $25 every week, I'm current with him, and I don't fall under that scripture that says owe no man nothing. But if I'm 2 weeks behind, then I owe him something. And you know what he's going to say? He's going to say, I heard, Peter, that you tithe down at the church. You give 10% of whatever you make. And I say, yes, sir, I do. And he said, well, you know what? You're stealing from me. That's my money you're putting down there. You owe me. You need to pay me first, and then you can go down and throw your money away if you want to, or give it to God or whatever. But that's the way a worldly man thinks. So if you owe somebody and you're putting your money in the church, then you're in debtor. You're a double debtor. You're a debtor that's showing like sin. You show me the way a man lives, and I'll show you how the man thinks. You show how a man spends his money, how he runs his debt up, and I'll show you how he doesn't think. He's not a thinking man. He's a non-thinking man. He's allowed himself to get dead in the head and just go ahead and keep running the debt up. You would not believe in the church that I'm in the small town that we live in, how many people a month call us and ask us, can we pay their light bill? So we go visit them. They're still smoking. They are still lighting up cigarettes at $5 a pack. They are still smoking, and their power's going to be turned off. You go get their trash can. Go out and look in there and say, sir, can I look in your trash can? He said, "What do you want to look at my trash can for? I want to see what you've been doing." I look in there and it's full of cigarette butts and beer cans. And he wants us to pay the light bill. Something wrong with that picture. My friend, we live in a tough world today that people think that other people ought to pay their bills so they can drink beer and smoke cigarettes. So we need to be careful. We had some ladies one time call us up. "Oh, we're in dire need of food." Got over there. They had 2 or 3 freezers in the house. My son to the woman said to the woman, "You mind if I look in your freezer?" She said, "No, go ahead." He owned one freezer behind the other, and they were full to the top. Went out there and said, you ladies called up and said you were in need of some food. And they said, "Yeah, we don't like to let it get down now. We don't like to let it get down so we don't have to go hungry." They had enough food to feed the town for 2 days. And some of that stuff probably been in there 10 years. But anyway, we live in a tough world today. Listen, if you're following the Lord, first start tithing, then start tightening your belt. And if you need some help, you find a good Christian church. Tell the man. Go to the preacher. Get the committee together and tell them what you're trying to do. That you want to get out of debt. You're willing to suffer the consequences. You're willing to tighten the belt. You're willing to drink water with your meals. Water's free. You can drink water free. You can fill up 5 or 6 bottles of water every morning from your faucet at home and carry it with you. You haven't got to go in the store and buy $1.50 a bottle of water that you could have got free at home. Or any kind of money on that bottle of water that you could have got free at home, and pay your tithes. You show me what a man does with his money, and I'll show you what a man's love is. If he just throws it away on himself, his love is himself. And he doesn't care about his wife or his family. If a man's got a wife and a family and he's gluttoning in a store and spending more money than he ought to every day, then he doesn't care about his wife and family. Because eventually he's going to lose them. Eventually he's going to destroy his life and his family and his wife. And eventually the debtors are going to come after him. And he's going to be put out of his house. And now he's going to be a homeless person with a homeless family. And the wife's going to get sick and tired of it. And she said, "I'm going to go back and see if Mom and Dad let me live with them for a while I get a job. And I go to work. And I support the kids, and you can go off and do whatever you're going to do." And I see it every day. I see it every single day of the week. I see it happening every day of the week. My friend, if you're watching this PH Tidbits right here, I'm talking sense. I haven't quoted a scripture yet except, "Oh man, nothing but love." I'm telling you some facts. Some facts how you need to get out of debt. You need to get out of debt now if you're a Christian. And if you aren't a Christian, you need to. But if you're not a Christian, you need to say, "Jesus, forgive me of my sin, come in my heart, and save my soul." And then ask Him to help you. He'll help you get out of debt. And stay out of debt. You can't go around drinking soda pops and eating cream puffs and smoking cigarettes all day long. You just can't do it. Yeah, and you got to be careful what friends you run with. The friends you run with will cause you to stay in debt and get you further in debt. So the Bible said that they went out from us, from among us, and went out from us because they weren't of us. Are you a true God-following Christian? Are you in a church where you are a good helper? Are you in a church where when you tell people, "I go down there at that church," they say, "Well, boy, you're a heck of a, you got a bad testimony. I wouldn't tell anybody where I went to church if I had a testimony like you got." See, it's important that your testimony be good. And even though you're going to go through some trials and afflictions to get yourself out of debt, start doing your tithes and you'll start getting out of debt. God will come and bless you. You say, "How can God bless me if I owe more than I make and I start tithing?" Well, the first thing you can do is not buy them cigarettes. Second thing you can do is not stop at that store and waste that money that you're wasting with a plastic. You need to cut all your plastic up. Cut it up. You say, "Well, man, I might have to walk to work." Find a way to get to work. I bet you $50 to a donut Where you work, there are people that actually walk to work, and there are people that ride with other people, and there are some people who take a bus. If you live in an area where you can take a bus, you can take a bus. You got to do whatever's the cheapest you can do so that you can get yourself out of debt. Everything we do has consequences. And we do everything we do for a reason. And we need to make the reason be God. Needs to be the reason. I got to go now. My time's come and gone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.